What's going on, everyone? Ryan from the MTG Homebrew Network here to bring you today a brew. A lot of the time when I look at specific cards that I want to brew around, I think about what leaders I could use to supplement them the best, whether it be an idea or a specific card. And today's specific card that I want to talk about, let me bring it up, is Stasis. So we have this son of a bitch enchantment for 1 and a blue that says each player skips his or her untap phase, and then during your upkeep, pay blue or bury Stasis. And the way that you would do this normally is with like a creature that untaps, namely like Derevi. But as I believe it, Derevi is either banned or banned as leader in Tiny Leaders right now, so we have instead Jorn, God of Winter. For 2 and a green, it's a 3/3 snow legendary creature god, and when Jorn attacks, untap each snow permanent you control. Most importantly, Jorn is a snow creature and gets untapped by its own effect. And on the back, which usually we're not doing, you can play Cauldron the Rime Staff, 1 blue black for legendary snow artifact. Tap. You may play target snow permanent card from your graveyard this turn. If you do, it enters the battlefield tapped. That's good sometimes, but it's not really what we're going for. We really just like what Jorn is doing when it attacks. So in combination with Stasis, you can untap all of your lands that you're playing that are snow lands. We have a bunch of basics. We are also playing the tapped dual lands, and we have scrying sheets. Between all of those, we should have enough to tap for a blue every turn when we're untapping our lands and Jorn inside of our Stasis lock. The original thought of the deck was I needed to give Jorn Vigilance somehow, but you just don't have to do that. So you get to have this 2-card combo with one of them being in the leader zone. So how are we also playing around untapping our lands? Because if we don't have Stasis, we have to do something else with our untapped lands. Well, namely, let's play all of these flash creatures, which lends to the name Flash Freeze. It's a snow deck with flash creatures. We have like a Brazen Borrower that bounces a non-land permanent, a Brineborn Cutthroat that gets bigger as we cast spells on our opponent's turn, Cunning Nightbonder, Slitherwisp, all of these Ikoria flash enablers that give us benefits for casting spells with flash. Fairy Mastermind is a banger. Whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, you draw a card, makes their draws worse. Floodpit's Drowner is the greatest of all time. I've seen this card blow people out and just do amazing things. Icefang Codal is a snow creature that gets untapped with Jorn, and it has Death Touch if you have 3 snow permanents, which you usually will. Merfolk Trickster does very similar things to Floodpit's Drowner. Opposition Agent is crazy counterplay against them searching their deck. Orcish Bowmaster obviously is one of the best modern cards of all time. It just hates on all of their 1 toughness creatures. Speaking of, Scrib Ranger can untap Jorn and bounce a force to our hand when they are tapped. So it kind of has this like level of playing around with Stasis as well as just being a very solid creature untapper. Only use it once each turn, but that's fine. Use it on their turn, use it on our turn. We can keep some lands untapped. Slitherwisp, as I said before, whenever you cast any of our spells with flash, draw a card, lose a life, is a 3/2 with flash itself. It's very great. Snapcaster, one of the greatest to ever do it. Recast your instants and sorceries from the graveyard. We'll get to those in a sec. And Spell Stutter is just counterspell on a creature with flash. So you have these lines where you just leave mana up, and you have other fairies, not a ton, but there are other ones in the deck. Scrib Ranger, namely. And you can get to this point where you're countering like their 1, 2, or 3 drops if you have those permanents in play, or it's just counter their 1 drop if you're in that position. We also have 1 Dead of Winter, which is just a 1-sided board wipe. It doesn't kill your Jorn, and it kills all of their stuff. That isn't a snow creature, but people aren't really playing them unless you're like in this deck specifically. And by the time you have enough mana to cast this, you're going to be, killing all of their things, more or less. So the instants and sorceries, now we have the instants. Abrupt Decay is a banger, can't be countered, kills anything in the format that is a non-land. Consider is just a solid cantrip. You don't have to play cantrips. I'm playing Opt and Consider here. You're going to have mana up. You might as well do something with it. You could do a Brainstorm effect, but this deck doesn't really shuffle itself very well. There's a couple fetches, but not like a ton. Counterspell is Counterspell. It's, you know, it does what it does, and we're going to have blue mana, so we might as well use it on that. We're going to have mana up on their turn, so we might as well save it for something. Same with Cyclonic Rift. If we get to the point where we have like 7 mana available, we can, if we attack with Jorn with 4 lands untapped, float the mana, resolve the trigger, tap them again, blow up their entire board into their hand. It's perfect. Drown on the Lock is good. You're not going to be milling them pretty consciously, but they're going to be having cards go to their graveyard, so you can just, as long as they have 3 cards in their graveyard, it's going to be hitting their stuff. Fatal Push is great. It's just 1 mana, kill most things in the format, or kill anything in the format. Definitely recommend. Force of Negation, you're going to be casting spells on their turn, or if you're not, you're going to be having 3 mana available to the best of your ability. I definitely think you're not very far off if you're going to be doing this. Long Goodbye is solid. It's just a uncounterable kill spell for a creature or a planeswalker. Not every deck, I would say, wants to play this. Some of them want to be on like Dismantle, but you need to be like protecting your life total. Not Dismantle, Dismember, excuse me. Mana Leak is just another counter spell. We're going to be doing some tempo stuff, so getting them to a place where they're really like stuck on mana is going to be very good. So them having an extra 3 mana laying around to have their spells resolve is sort of unlikely, but not super out of the question. Same reason we're playing Spell Pierce. Just very tempo-y. We want to be hitting their spells and hitting their interaction when we can. And then Tyvar Stand is just solid. It just protects whatever we got. I would definitely recommend playing it. It's definitely a flex spot. It's not necessary for the deck, but it's just a nice one to have. It could be Veil of Summer if you think you need that. Veil is very good. But I like Tyvar's where it's at. And sometimes it's like Tameo Safekeeping, stuff, you know, in that vein. And then our final, like, our hate pieces, we have a Trinisphere. You know, it's when we're taxing their mana, we could be on the Winter Orb kind of thing. It's not specifically in this deck. You could play it, but I don't think it's super necessary because a lot of spells cost very little amounts of mana. So you can invest in the Winter Orb and then be blown out by like a 1 mana spell, and then you're down 2 mana and a card. Trinisphere kills people when they can't pay for things, especially when their permanents don't untap. Like they have to very consciously not, you know, play things to be able to play around the ball, but they're not always going to be able to do that. Same thing, back to basics. Non-basic lands don't untap during their control's untap steps. It's very good when you're playing against a deck with more than 1 color, and a lot of people are playing duels, so it's very likely that this just hits the board and suddenly they don't have mana. Root Maze is good early. It's not awesome late, but it does, you know, halt people on their way down, I would say. And it's all artifacts and lands, so like very consciously you want to be playing around Stasis and Root Maze together, but if you have Root Maze out and then Stasis after, just to make sure that your stuff is untapped before you play it. We are playing 1 Argham's Astrolabe, which is just the snow mana fixer. It's just a good enough card to play in a snow deck. It's banned in a couple formats, so I would say it's good enough here as a one-of just to fix our basics. And then finally we have Sword Coast Sailor, which some of these backgrounds have like hidden text of just being like a aura on your leader that doesn't die when it dies, and it says commanders you own have, whenever this creature attacks a player, if no opponent has more life than that player, so it's the opponent, this creature can't be blocked this turn. You definitely want to be able to attack in cleanly with Jorn if you need to. So what that could involve is like hopefully tapping down their permanents while you're stasising them, and then being able to play and attack with Jorn. And Sword Coast Sailor gets through their board if you need to, and gets you out of your stasis lock and just keeps them in, so you could just cast your spells with impunity. And then the lands are very, basic. It's just the snow duels, some fetches, command tower, and scrying sheets. You definitely want to be hitting your blue lands. That's why there's more islands than there are the other two basics. But they're all worth playing. You have a Prismatic Vista. You have Arkham's Astrolabe to help you pay for 1 blue every turn. It's not the end of the world if you end up with like a forest and a swamp and then some other duel. You just need to be more conscious about having more blue mana for things like Counterspell and where are you? Merfolk Trickster. Spells like that. But it being a 3-colored deck, a lot of the spells are very easy to cast, minus like the Slither Wisps and what have you. Everything is pretty much either 2 blue or 1 of whatever. So your mana doesn't have to be too amazing. And it's very important that you have snowlands so that you can untap them with Jorn and have mana available on your opponent's turn, or at the second main phase of your turn. As far as the sideboard goes, it's really up for, whatever you think your meta is doing. Aboleth Spawn is good against like blink decks. Blue Blast hits red really hard or dress down if you want to like blow out Urza Saga tokens. Endurance for graveyard decks. Faceless Haven is a solid thing that lives through board wipes. Sorcerer Speed board wipes, of course, but Toxic Deluge is a very popular Toxic Deluge is a very popular spell. It's not unlikely that you'll run into something like that you need to consider. Flusterstorm is just solid. It's good against storm decks if you need to be doing that. Nimble Obstructionist can be a flash flyer, or it can be a stifle, whatever you're needing it to be. Smother is just long goodbye number 2. It could definitely be something else like Dismember. Spell Snare is good against decks that are going to have mana cost 2 things, which if it's like an Inti deck or like Thrasios build of some kind, it's just worth putting in over like your Mana Leak or something like that. And then Veil of Summer, if you're going to run into more blue and black like control-y decks, it's nice to have the option to just blank their turn, draw a card, and win on an interaction. But yeah, that's Flash Freeze. This deck is super sick. Definitely recommend putting it together. I will be very shortly, because I want to play this in a video, so keep an eye out for that. Definitely a sick snow deck that uses stasis. What a headache. Thank you for watching.